In my last video I said there was a comic that I couldn't find I wanted to talk about, and pretty quickly the empty one mentioned to me where to find it again. Turns out I was pretty close to finding it. The comic is part of an alternate universe idea by James Pavel over on Twitter, and I would have found it if I remembered to click on the damn media tab. As it turns out, the Breaking Blue Balls comic I mentioned in the previous video is a part of the AU, even if it wasn't the actual comic that I was looking for. So, let's give the comic the analysis I wanted to give it, and it deserved. I'll also add in a look at the Broken Blue Balls comic, which expands upon the AU, and was done by Blue Glitch BF. So first thing, this alternate universe is based on the idea of boyfriend and girlfriend switching places during the "this is your fault" sequence that Legion gives in the game. It mostly plays out like it did in the original game until this line shows up. Remember, girlfriend is the demonic daughter of the dark and dastardly Daddy Dearest and Mommy Merest. Her parents aren't nice people. So, Legion hits girlfriend where it hurts. Aside from transforming boyfriend. He compares her actions to the evil that is her parents, and while it's doubtful she's malicious, the insinuation of having girlfriend face these consequences is that she does care about what happened to others she knew or people her parents have harmed, even if she wasn't directly involved. In the end, these are things that girlfriend no doubt suddenly has thoughts about whether or not this is how other people actually do see her as. Especially the accusation that boyfriend might see her as just stringing him along for the fun of it. And one of the worst things that can happen to people is the seed of self-doubt growing to a point where they begin doubting and fearing their own actions in their life. Now, I'll reiterate and expand a little bit about what I said for Legion's character when I mentioned this comic in the last video. Legion is clearly a manipulative and cerebral villain. His powers are so terrifying because he's able to use them in conjunction with his practiced ability, I suppose, of manipulation and getting under people's skins with words, which can uncover weaknesses in his victims that they didn't even know they had. Which means that even though it might be simple to say how Legion's powers work, Legion's application of those powers can be shown and presented in a very wide range, which he more or less has to because he's targeting different people and nobody's the same. Like I said in my theory video, it's entirely possible that the whole having boyfriend singing in his mind against all the opponents was just a diversion because he already knew to target girlfriend, he just had to make sure boyfriend was busy elsewhere. And all that is one of the reasons I think this AU comic works. Because even if it's a fan-made, non-canon story, the characters are still acting and reacting in their established ways. Which brings us to the end, where instead of just going insane like boyfriend did in the original game, girlfriend gets the added bonus of going insane and apparently awakening her demonic powers and form as well. It was a simple concept, but it came off as very well done, no matter how short it was, and it stuck to how the characters actually are. It did a good job of staying to the mod's art style, and overall, the simplicity of what it was showing was all it really needed to get the point across. James Pavel's Twitter has plenty more doodles and sketches that expand on and revisit the AU's setting and ideas. I'm not really going to cover or explore those, just to leave you something to look at yourself. Now this brings us to Breaking Blue Balls, a fan prequel and exploration of the AU by Blue Glitch BF. And during a conversation we shared on Twitter, Blue Glitch BF did confirm James Pavel counts it as canon to the AU. There's also a lot more reading, but as time goes on in the comic, the writing does a decent job of building up into the realizations of what exactly Legion's doing. The story shows us, instead of going after girlfriend, Legion instead keeps her unconscious, as he starts to take a different approach to breaking boyfriend. Boyfriend gets his voice taken away, which makes him immediately worry about girlfriend's safety. But as Legion says when his orchestrations start coming into play, similar to driving girlfriend into questioning how others see her, What does boyfriend think about the possibility that one day the thing that made him useful to her goes away? It isn't just Legion giving a vision of girlfriend leaving him, but also building up the doubts on boyfriend that girlfriend could actually love him for anything besides his singing. And it's not specifically boyfriend being afraid of that, but being afraid that it's true is what breaks his defenses. The troll just seeped into boyfriend's mind after this. The specific reason given was that girlfriend wasn't around to protect him, but like I said, I think his defenses were fairly cracked just from the thoughts and realizations he was having. I know in my theory video I brought up that girlfriend might be able to use her powers to project into boyfriend's mind to be able to give him support, but in this case it sounds like it's giving girlfriend the ability to give off an everything-proof shield. That's probably not what's intended in this story, but I've seen plenty of other fan fiction and creations where they play fast and loose with girlfriend's powers so much that, well, it honestly might have tainted my perception in this case. That's not this author's fault, and God knows they couldn't have kept up with all the other fan creations out there, good and bad, if they tried. But all that said, it's probably a catch-22 situation in this case, where even if they did know, the writer leaves out girlfriend's powers, and people start asking questions about why couldn't girlfriend be doing anything at this point. And there we have a window into how complicated writing can actually be, even for something short and simple. Anyway, his defense is lowered. Boyfriend starts falling to the temptation of a better singing voice as the other Trollges join their voices to his, and further falling to the seduction of being a part of and surrounded by a group that will always be around, where he will have a place without fear of losing them. It's a long sequence, done to show us how methodical and complete Legion is with his conditioning and molding of his victims, as boyfriend struggles against it fail more and more. Finally, he only has a sliver of willpower left, unable to fight back, and before it's dragged back down by the limitless numbers, he begs girlfriend to stop Legion, even if she has to go through him first. Like I said, there's been more from James Pavel and Blue Glitch BF on this AU, and it's worth going through their Twitter accounts to see not just more of this, but more of everything else they've done. The original comic I saw was a what-if treatment, whereas Breaking Blue Balls is more of a how. How does Legion operate? How are ways that boyfriend could have fallen into his control? And at first it seems like boyfriend gives in pretty fast, but in later scenes in the comic, the implication is given that the Trollges that invaded his mind are more possessing and controlling him by that point. And as I think about it, this is something that either builds on or uses the fact that in the original mod, plenty of other Trollges talked about or complained about voices in their heads starting to override who they were. Both of these stories and the extra doodles feel like logical representations and explorations of the characters. I'm more impressed by the first one for the simplicity of it, but the newer one took the opportunity to create more of a story, and did it fairly well without taking any liberties with the characters, which is something else noteworthy about fanfiction like this. Writing is a balance of keeping the reader's interests while also showing a form of integrity and respect toward them. Terms like jumping the shark and Mary Sue are rooted in those times that respect and integrity is lost, even if there is an attempt to create something honestly interesting. I don't see the Dearest Incident AU so far failing that test. Yeah, there wasn't much to work with, but we didn't see boyfriend jumping in the air doing a backflip hyperdive jump kick toward Legion as a final fight struggle against him. The amount of writing and reading in Breaking Blue Balls might not be everyone's preference. It is a comparatively longer story. But I personally think that comes from trying to give us the methodical, insidious ways of Legion breaking down his victims slowly. If it went the other way with just a snap, then that would have felt much worse toward the character of Legion and the writing. I'd rather see possible mistakes made in trying to do things in good or right ways than as if that attempt wasn't made at all. So all in all, I saw this as really good fan fiction for the Blue Balls incident, and hopefully now you can see why I was interested in bringing it up in the previous video with all the other ones. I don't think I would have talked about it this much, but at least this gives us a chance to see what kind of things might go into writing stuff, as well as how other people may see it. I mean, I did a video on Sonic.exe. You know I've seen bad fan fiction. But like I said before, fan creations are a way for people to share their creativity and their talents much more widely than as if they tried to just start off on their own with something new. I think James Pavel and Blue Glitch BF are showing talents that are worth building upon and sharing, which is a statement I wish I thought of in my other videos for other people, but just retroactively apply it to everybody I discuss in a positive light. Make sure to share and bring up people and projects that you think deserve a chance to be seen or heard. I always like giving a chance to have more people find out about them. Until next time, take care, everybody. And thank you to our special guest.